Hey guys, what's up? How's it going? Welcome back to another brand new episode of the Mindset Kitchen podcast with your host, Sheyaf Hashim. And sorry, we don't have Kareem today with us. I'm just kidding. So I'm sure you guys have been seeing this new format where we've had guests. So the first guest you must have seen was Roberto. If you haven't checked it, check it out. But today I have somebody very special. I mean, everybody is special, but this person is extra special. Somebody I've known for a very, very long time. I would like to invite Ali Khawaja to the show. Hey, Ali, what's up?
All good, man. This is, as we were discussing pre-show, this is long overdue discussion that we haven't had. I know over the years, I think going back maybe 15, 20 years now, we've always had numerous and very, very interesting discussions, but now I'm a little worried we're putting it on record.
I mean, just to give you a small intro, I'll give you an official intro and an unofficial intro. Yeah, officially, Ali here in my language we call Ali Bhai. Bhai is like with respect, brother. Many of you know that. Desis, non-desis, now you know. He currently teaches in American University of Sharjah. If you were to go by a bio in LinkedIn, he's an educator. He's a big startup enthusiast. He's working with a lot of startups. He's a super, like one of the most, when it comes to gadgets and techie, being a techie, Ali tops the list in all the people that I know. But moreover, for me personally, the unofficial, I've known him for almost 15 years. And the reason, for example, I've decided to invite Ali is Ali was the first person actually who got me started. My first paid gig, freelance gig back in 2006, Ali was the one who actually gave me. So, I mean, there is too much skin in the game, as we actually call it. And I've learned a lot from Ali as well over the years. And since the past 3-4 years, we've been interacting a lot because I'm sure some of you who follow me on Instagram, my personal account, not the Mindset account, you see I do a lot of off-roading. I got this whole thing kicked off we have a group called Overland Rex. We will drop the link for Overland Rex. So Ali is a leader. He's the main guy in the squad. So, I mean, that's not what we're going to discuss today. So that is the quick intro. I will tag Ali. You can check him out on Instagram. But today's topic, today's topic is what we're going to discuss about now is we discuss a lot of mindsets, Ali Bhai, on this show. Yeah, I'm sure you've been seeing for the past year and a half. We talk about, but one topic that I really wanted to talk about was millennials. Mm-hmm. I mean, most of our audience, listener base are millennials. Millennials, guys who don't know who's a millennial, just do a good Google search. Mm-hmm. I mean, somebody who was born between 92, till 92 or 94 from the early 80s, right? I mean, basically, if you are a millennial, you will be somewhere around 37, 38, 39 right now. So we'll not ask how old Ali Bhai is, but I mean, that's not the point. So there is a particular kind of mindset that us as millennials have. Yeah, I'm not going to talk more about this. We will get there because what I'm trying to get to is why Ali is the person that I'm going to ask, because Ali has been working with millennials because he's an educator. He's teaching in AUS. He's an assistant professor, right, or an instructor.
Senior instructor.
A senior instructor. So before the show, he was just telling me, I'm like, now you're dealing with Gen Z. He's like, keep changing the names, but they're all the same. So I'm going to jump right into the question, Ali Bhai. Like, what? Let's say the people before our dads, they were boomers. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, they were the way they were. Mm-hmm. I mean, what have you seen? Like, I want to get started with this. When you say a millennial, what is the main some things that you've seen? What differentiates a millennial from a boomer, for example?
I think before we jump into that specifically, I want to have a little bit of a broader discussion, mm-hmm. and in order to give context to that discussion, I need to provide a little bit of context to it. So I've been teaching since 2002, let's say, mm-hmm. so 19, almost 20 years. And I have always taught the exact same age group, the 18 to 22, university. So, you know, if you're a baker and you make a batch of cookies, so, you know, you have the dough, it goes in the oven, it comes out the oven, and then it's 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 day, 2 days after from the oven, the texture, the flavor, everything changes. For me, I always get it right out the oven, first 10 minutes, because that's all I get, the 18 to 22. I see them, like I'll see my old graduates like in their careers later on, but that's not the same interaction as the day-to-day. So I have always seen the fresh batch of cookies every single time.
It's a very nice example. I never thought about it.
So my perspective is a very, you know, sliced, you know, MRI style slice, and the same identical slice I see over time with different groups, but it's the same slice, which gives me a very unique perspective on comparison. And, you know, before we're talking about, I'm like, you know, you were like, what's Gen Z, millennials? I'm like, man, same. It's just a different package, same product. And I think that's about how we define and break it up. We are, as humans, we are the sum of our experiences, our life's experiences. So if you were to compare, you know, I'm to give more context, I'm 42 now. So if you were to compare, I know, right? Can't believe I'm still alive after all the stuff I do. Sheyaf knows about offroad antics. So if we're to compare, I need to look at how, you know, my father was raised from 0 to 18, how I was raised 0 to 18, how my grandfather was raised 0 to 18, how you have been 0 to 18. Now, depending on which you were born, the world likes to classify and put it in groups, but the experiences were different. My dad was brought up when there was no television, and then black and white television came. I was brought up when the television was, you know, the size of a desk, right? And now all of a sudden they're skinny and flat. I used to go to the library if I had a question. I didn't have Google. Google didn't exist till 97, 98, somewhere there, or 99, I don't exactly remember. I remember during college, I started college in 97, I graduated 2002. So I remember before Google, I used to use Alta Vista as my search engine. I was like, oh man, that's a cool search engine. So I was brought up or raised in a time where information wasn't available and I had to find it. Right? And I call them kids because of my age difference, but the students that I have now in university, they were born into the internet. They were born with, and I want you to take a moment to visualize and think about this, they were born with the ability to have a device in their hand that connects you to the entire knowledge of the human race. And even then they ask me stupid questions. But the question is not that they asked me the question. The question is, why did they ask me the question? I don't ask anybody any questions because let me find the answer first. But that's how my brain was trained. I was trained to find answers. The millennial and Gen Zs now, you know, we blame them for whatever, but that's not true. We have to look at the environment they were brought up in. They were brought up in an environment where information is an overload.
Yeah,
it's an overload. If you're driving down Sheikh Zayed and I tell you, Sheyaf, you remember on the left side, as soon as you take that exit, there's a big billboard. Do you remember it? Maybe you'll remember it. If I ask you, Sheyaf, when you take that exit this morning when you were on your way to work, can you tell me from the thousands of license plates of the cars that you were driving with, can you tell me 10? Can you tell me 5? Can you tell me 1? You can't. Because that is a non-necessary information overload. Versus that singular billboard, in the event that it was of interest to you, becomes something that you would retain. So I don't blame them for not retaining information. I don't blame them for asking basic questions. They haven't been taught to filter. I was taught to search, but they were just given a dump of information, but they weren't really taught to filter.
I mean, for people who are listening, when he says they, us, millennials.
Yes, the youngsters.
Yeah, but this is a very interesting, because when you were immediately telling me, initially you were saying same product, different age, but I think you explained it very well. Like the cookie was a very good example. By the way, Ali bakes cookies as well.
Yes, I bake also. Sheyaf is like flexing all my skills, off-roading, cooking.
And latest edition is cold brews. Okay, back from the advertisement, back to the... I mean, this was a very good example when you said about the cookies, right? you're getting that fresh batch, but I think over the years, the ingredients have changed.
Yes, that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
The ingredients have changed. This is what I'm talking about. The ingredients, and I see it at the same snapshot. So I have a very unique perspective on real comparison. I can't compare a 40-year-old today to an 18-year-old today. No. Let me meet that 40-year-old when he or she was 18.
Yeah.
And whoever today is 18, whoever 10 years ago was 18. I need to see them at the same point in their life. But you're 100% right. The mix has changed.
Yeah.
The mix has changed.
I mean, this is where, first of all, I want to thank you for going back and actually clarifying this, because the main thing that we want to get into is, like I said, in this podcast, we always discuss about different types of mindsets. But today, back in the day, there was nothing called a boomer mindset. But today, if you actually just do a Google search called the millennial mindset, so many of us millennials or Gen Zs, they've come together that now Google releases reports every year on this Gen Zs and the millennials, because the behavior has changed so much and there is so many people, there is a pattern. Now, This is my next question, or what I want to understand is, let's say somebody who is up until 35 years old that you know today, who were your students, or somebody who is between 18 to 35. What are the areas that you see which you feel, okay, you understand they are different, but they are way too different from you, where you feel, okay, the millennials or this age group should change the way they actually do things. I'll give you an example also. Let's say how do you see them manage rejection, for example? Let's take an example. When they are thrown with a problem, how would you handle it? And
see, you bring up a very interesting topic here. It's very important to kind of explore this. I'm gonna start by telling you something my mom told me a very, very long time ago. She said, nobody's perfect. When you look at anybody, look at the good and learn.
Yeah.
Look at the bad and know what not to do in life. So with every generation, no matter how you categorize them or group them, there's good and there's bad.
Yeah, definitely.
There's good and bad. So one of the things that I feel that the more recent of the generations, whether it's the millennials or the Gen Zers, what they've lost is patience. And the reason they've lost patience is because they've acquired something far worse. They've required instant gratification. Everything now. I want my food now. I want this done now. Why can't this be done now? Everything should be click, click, click. Instant gratification. They don't want to, look, I hate standing in lines as much as the next guy, but I will still stand in line if I have to stand in line, because that's the only way to get the things done. This is unacceptable to the current generation. So having a constant fulfillment or near instant fulfillment for every need and want, this spoils you. And I can relate to my children when they were small. My kids are now 13 and 15, let's say, somewhere there. When they were small kids, and you know this, you have kids yourself, if they, nag and cry, I want this chocolate, or I want this candy, or I want this toy, you give it to them one time, and guess what? Now, literally that one time, you created now a monster who will always nag, always cry, always scream, always throw a tantrum. So can I classify all the millennials and Gen Zers now as the tantrum generation? In some extent, yes. Not because they were taught the wrong thing, they've adopted the wrong way to do things. They're not patient.
Yeah.
And that is a result of the instant gratification of everything that is available to them. I remember when I was in college, if I wanted to order food, there was maybe 1 or 2 restaurants that would deliver, because the university was at that time was considered so far out. I opened up Zomato a couple of days ago. There's 205 or 208 restaurants delivering. I spent half an hour trying to figure out which one I wanted.
I remember the iHungry days.
Yes, the early days, and we literally put together a small website and a portal with like 5 menus, because that's all it would deliver. But there's just so much information and sensory overload. They don't handle rejection well because they don't expect to get rejected.
Yeah.
They don't handle, things that take time and processes because they are used to instant gratification. I had to wait every week at 7:30 on a Tuesday to watch my TV show. Now, boom, it's on Netflix. I'll binge watch all night, and then the next day I'm zoned out. But if I don't do that, then everyone's discussing the new TV show that everybody binge watched the night before, and I'm the only one left out. So it's a very, let's say, perfect storm of a bad mix of instant gratification and major FOMO. This generation has a major FOMO issue. Their fear of
FOMO as in, sorry, Ali Bhai, people who don't understand, it's fear of missing out.
They have a fear of missing out of everything. My friends are going to the coffee shop. I have to go. Okay, you don't have to. No, but maybe I'm going to miss, they're going to say something that I'll miss it. Oh, I need to make sure I watch this show because, everyone's talking about it. I'll give you a very recent example. And I think a lot of people resonate with this. In my observation, I always find the entire planet, and again, my little petri dish of my access to the university students, as a very interesting, experiment to watch that's constantly happening.
Yeah.
We recently had one of the most watched television shows in Netflix history, Squid Game.
Squid Game, yeah.
So in Squid Games, there were essentially the bigger groups. There were two big groups. The first big group was the ones who just watched it, like, what is this? This is interesting. Oh, okay, wow, boom. And then there was a second group, like, why is everybody talking about this thing, Squid Games? Like, even the name sounds stupid, like Squid Games? I don't even like eating squid. Why is there a squid in a game? Like, what sort of game do you play with a squid? The name doesn't even make sense. And now you're looking at a bunch of Korean people like, I don't even watch Korean shows. Like, what's going on? But since everybody's talking about it, that collective FOMO plus peer pressure, now we had a massive wave of people watching it who were never gonna watch it.
I was in the second group.
See? I was, interestingly enough, because I watch Korean shows, I was in the first group. I was like, oh, Squid Game. I wonder what this weird title means. It caught my curiosity.
I mean, for me, it was FOMO and the peer pressure through memes, marketing memes. Mm-hmm. Till the extent, you remember in our Overlander X, the group, yes, somebody put like, I related it. So I think there is a reason this thing pulled up. So yeah, I understand. Yeah.
No, also the double-edged sword of instant information and resources that pop up on a device in your hand is the abuse of such technology also. Yeah. Throughout history, every new technology has great advantages, great disadvantages. The great disadvantage to us, which, marketing people will not like me for this, is data.
Yeah.
They understand data. Billions and billions are spent on collecting data, understanding data, using data to manipulate the consumer.
Yeah.
Who paid for that show? Netflix. When it airs and people watch, who makes money? Netflix. So would it not stand to reason that Netflix spent a lot of money trying to understand how to market this show? They don't need everybody to watch it day one. Mm-hmm. They just need people to watch it. Yeah. So whether you were group 1 or group 2, or you're those like 2% stragglers who are like, no, mm-hmm, I'm never going to watch Squid Game. But by this point, you've seen enough memes to know what the whole TV show is about. They still got you.
Yeah.
They still got you. And they understand it's a game. They understand the game very well.
And I think coming back to the point of, you mentioned 2-3 different things about instant gratification, which leads to impatience. Okay. And now let's move on from this point. Let's say we are, and I think this is equally, it's not just millennials, even Gen Zs these days are very, very much affected. Let's move on to a little bit more older millennials. Let's say people who are in the late 20s or early 30s. Mm-hmm. In your experience, apart from these two things, is there anything that comes into your mind, for example, that you would advise, you would actually tell them?
I'm going to talk to you about something very interesting now, about career. Career in the workplace. Career in the workplace is interesting for all of these. I'm going to rephrase them from generations to, I'm going to call them user groups. I see them as user groups, actually. So we have, and I have actually a startup in the mental health space, so I have access to a lot of this data. Well, actually.
What is the website?
Mentalhealth.ae.
And the Instagram handle?
Mentalhealth.ae, no dot.
Check it out.
That's how we roll.
Yeah.
So there's all this data is publicly available. You just have to sit and Google and sift through it. But what we found is very interesting, that the people who are right now, let's say 20 to early to late 20s, 70% of them are about 70% are ready to quit their jobs over mental health reasons,
Yeah.
over the stress at work, or they don't feel like they're appreciated enough, or they don't feel like they care enough. Salary alone is not enough to keep these people. You cannot pay them more to stay.
Yep.
They want more. They want a more fulfilling experience. They want value, and not value like in you get a parking spot and or whatever. No. Value as in, I want to see, do they care about me?
It's not about just about the candy walls or the fridge or the coffee.
No more carrot
Bean bags.
No more carrot and stick approach, man. Now it's like kapsa and mandi, bro. You gotta bring it. But if you look at the late 20s to, let's say, the mid 30s, these guys were part of that transitional generation where, hey man, work is work. You gotta work. I gotta pay rent. I gotta put food on the table. I gotta put my kids in school. Okay, man, it sucks. Who said work is supposed to be fun? Who says you're supposed to like it? Work is work. Go do something else. Go, fishing, go golf, go do something to offset. So the default expectation is work is not supposed to be enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's a task, and offset it with something else. Now you jump the 40 plus, those guys are like, what are you talking about, man? Work is work, and work is life. And whatever time I have left over is rest time, hang out with the kids time, take the wife out to dinner once a month time. That's it. But work is life. That's it.
I mean, there is a very interesting thing that I saw like 2-3 weeks back, which made a lot of sense to exactly what you're saying is our grandfathers, they worked for survival. Okay?
Yes.
Our fathers, they worked so the survival was taken care of. Like there was a home, I'm not saying fancy home, there is a home and there is food on your table. So our fathers worked for standard of living. Standard of living was a better house, a better car. This is where our fathers, majority of them, spend their time. So they say today, us, the Millenials and Gen Z, we are not working for survival nor standard of living. We are working for happiness is the currency, more or less.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. Like this is more or less what this person was saying. We are working for. It's a bit more selfish than, like, if you notice, both of the previous generations, they did survival and standard of living, not for them.
See, Sheyaf, I agree to disagree with you on this.
Yeah.
And then let me expand a little bit on my assessment. The game has changed.
Yeah.
What a lot of people don't realize is the game has changed. My father, even now, he comes, when they live 10 minutes away, he comes to visit, and I have a newspaper subscription, not for me. I mean, I might glance at it every once in a whenever, but that newspaper subscription at my house is for my father, because I know when he comes, he will grab the newspaper, he'll ask the maid to make him a cup of tea, he'll have his cup of tea, he'll go through the newspaper. You can call it old school, you can call it whatever, that's fine. But what that illustrates is that this is what was his default of gathering information about what's happening in the world. I might pop open a news website. My current students, they might catch whatever's happening on a random Insta post or somebody snapped it. Like, dude, really? Is that how you're getting information about what's going on in the world?
Like TikTok today. Yeah.
TikTok. My student's like, oh, sir, I learned so much from TikTok. I'm like, yeah, because you don't open your eyes for the other thing, but you decide to open it for this. Okay, it's a channel. Whatever channel works. But the rule has changed. Not the rule, the game has changed. Let me explain. This generation, for the first time, has asked a very basic and fundamental question. Why do I even need to buy a house? Why do I need to have a car? And I tell my students, my university students now, I'm like, guys, listen, you might find this really weird, but your children will probably be the first generation who don't know how to drive a car. And they just start laughing. I'm like, this exact situation.
I mean, Ali, our kids, they will know how to drive. I mean, maybe.
Our kids most probably will, but
I'm just joking.
There's students who are now in university whose kids will, let's say,
100%.
In 20 years, their kids will be eligible to drive. I'm like, your kids will be the first generation that don't know how to drive. And then I go, oh, that's so funny. I'm like, no, it's not. Because somebody said this in a classroom, somebody said this, your kids will be the first generation who don't know how to use a horse and carriage because the automobile got affordable.
Yeah, we don't know horse.
We don't, do we now?
Carriage though is out of the question.
So the rule has changed. The Gen Zs and Millennials are asking, why do I want to get a mortgage to buy a house that I'm going to spend 30 years paying off? I'm essentially serving it in servitude of a box.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me take this money and let me travel. Let me experience and see the world. I don't need a car. I'll just go Uber everywhere. A car, if you think about it, you go grocery shopping, and in your brain, you're like, oh, you know what? This was cheaper over there. I'll order it there. Why? You save 3 dirhams. But then you go out and spend 150,000 on a car.
Yeah.
That logic doesn't even compute if you really sit and think about it. So if the generation now are like, no, public transport is available, Uber is available.
Yeah.
I am going to strategically live in a location in the city where I don't even need a car, therefore I don't have to spend the money on the car. And to them, different life experiences hold different value. Our parents' generation, saving, building a house, very important.
Yeah.
Saving, putting your kids through school, college, very important. This generation, no, I want to see the world, I want to live, I want to experience. What's that, YOLO? These guys come with all letters, man.
Yeah, YOLO.
Yeah, you live only once.
No, you only live once.
You only live once. There you go.
See, I'm cooler. I know this.
I mean, I was like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of default, like, right? Born, live, die. So that is only once. Okay, why do we have to make a word out of it and then a hashtag out of it? But this is the mindset.
Yeah.
This is the mindset of this generation. They're not going to buy a house. They're going to rent.
But Ali, one question. Do you actually think, this millennials or this Gen Zs, for example, I think I'm already like 80% into this mindset myself. Like I've already asked that question 5 years back. I will not buy a house until I have like so much money just lying around. I might rather invest that money in experiences.
Yep.
This is very clear. But do you think like our fathers did for us? Okay, they supported us to put us through education. Do you think these millennials maybe, but I don't think Gen Zs are going to do this for their kids. They like I don't know. Do you think they will actually support their kids?
What we're talking about now is generational wealth.
Yeah.
All right. There's a reason, if you look back the last 100 years, there's a reason why the rich keep getting richer, the poor keep getting poorer, and the middle class find themselves to be even poorer. Right now, let's talk in US dollars. Right now, a can of Coke in the US dollars, $1.25, $1.50. Just 50 years ago, it was for 5 cents, $0.05. What does that tell you? What that tells you is that the value of your money in time rapidly decreases. From 5 cents to $1 is a 20x drop. In just 50 years, that's terrible. So everyone who's saving money is losing money by saving money. As weird as it sounds. You dropped the word investment in experience. Wrong, brother.
Yeah.
It is not an investment in experience when you travel. Yes, that is an investment in the experience of your life, but not in an investment in life itself. An investment in life itself is to put money in real estate, but not to buy a house to live in. To buy real estate and to buy property from a perspective of investment. So that's one of the biggest gaps that I'm finding right now with the Gen Zs.
And the millennials.
And the millennials for a large extent, but the Gen Zs especially, they have zero understanding of personal finance. Zero.
I think this is a problem. Millennials, many of us. I think I'm glad that you brought this up, because all of us from the subcontinent, let's say Asia or Desis that we call ourselves, none of us studied any of this in school.
See, no, what happened was it's not taught in any schools, bottom line.
Even our.
But what happened was we learned it as a byproduct. We have a mindset, and many cultures, not just the Asian cultures, the Arab culture also, a lot of the Far Eastern Asian culture, they have an addiction to buying gold. The ladies and the women, anytime there's a tiny bit of money, say, buy gold, buy gold, buy gold, buy gold. What happens is gold retains value over time. Look at the gold price chart. Gold retains value. What happens when you have enough gold? You use the gold to buy what? Property. But none of these people, at least 99.9% of the people who are doing this, buy gold, buy gold, buy gold, buy property, buy land, were only ever taught because, hey, this is how we do it, this is what we always do it, in case there's an emergency, in case we need something, in case there should be a backup. They were never actually taught that this is a great way to do investment. So what the Gen Zers need now is they need to understand that, yes, spend on the experience of travel, invest your money, so your money can make money. That's a huge gap that's not taught anywhere. And their parents, and even my parents, have not been equipped with this knowledge, so they can't give it. My mom's advice is, don't waste money, save it. Why, mama? No, just save it.
I mean, this is
Why?
exactly when my dad keeps telling me about saving money. One day I asked him, okay, tell me, Dad, how should I save money? This is the best question. So every time I used to rebel, like let's say 5 years back, he's like, save. I'm like, no. So one day I'm like, you know what? Tell me how to save money. He's like, you know what? Open an account, put money in there, or buy property. Two things. Yeah. I'm like, Dad, this is... Then before I actually committed, then I just thought, you know what? You can't blame him. This is the only thing he knows.
Yes.
And this is what he tries doing. Some of it, sometimes it works, sometimes it does not.
Yes.
So I think this is a very good, I wanted to get to the advice with, but I think this is definitely a very good advice for our listeners, especially the millennials or Gen Zs. Mm-hmm. Take a very serious interest in learning about investment. I think, and in the time these guys are living in, there are so many
yes.
options.
So many. More options than they were ever available.
Yeah.
Our previous generations got lucky because this is what we were told to do without even any answer. So the investment happened as a byproduct, which is very interesting. But generational wealth, or wealth that is created between, you, your kids, your grandkids, and so on and so forth, that generational wealth only happens when you have done the right investments. And when I say the right investments, I'll simplify it, where your money makes you money.
Yeah.
You invest in a property or real estate that not only appreciates over time, gives you rental income.
Yeah.
And basic strategy, without getting into too much detail, is to diversify. You have shares, you have stocks, you have bonds, you have they're not timeshares, but you have, for example, crowdsourcing.
Yeah.
You can fund startups. You can do so many micro investments. There is so many options, but you got to start learning about personal finance, because that's you trying to learn, not you, that's the importance of you learning how to manage your money first, then investments.
This is some alternative. A lot of people, if you wander around the internet or YouTube far too long, you'll understand this. I think most of our education system, the way it was built for people to, end up as workers.
Yes.
Or people to end up in factories. So this is why it's not that people who created these curriculums don't know about personal finance initially, yeah? Mm-hmm. Or they don't know about investing. It is just that there are schools, for example, currently and even 50 years back, where they used to focus more about investments and how to make more money. It's just that most of the education system that we all went through, our parents went through, it was not designed for people to actually become entrepreneurs.
No, it isn't. Sheyaf, you're 100% right on that. The entire educational model will make you great workers. You can find me someone with a master's in finance, and I can almost guarantee you this person doesn't know how to manage personal finance, because their training was in corporate finance.
Yeah.
They're trained to make companies money. Why they're rich, keep getting richer generation to generation? Because the same knowledge your father gave you in his context was save and invest.
Yeah.
The rich person in their context knows how to do personal finance, how to do investments, how to put it, and then that's the knowledge they've transferred to their kids and their kids' kids. So it's not just generational wealth, it's generational knowledge.
This is the first hand how I experience this is, I have many friends who are millennials who have masters in finance, master's degree from all these places. And the first time I remember one of these friends, after I read about personal finance, I called one of my friends and like, bro, can you tell me something about investing? Has no clue.
No.
And I was so surprised. I'm like, what about, I at that time I only knew some terminologies, had no clue about stocks, about commodities, about hedge funds. It took me after some time to realize, then I started reading like Elon Musk, for example, and there is this one guy I follow, Asim Qureshi, on LinkedIn. He has a startup called Jibble. He does not hire MBAs, for example.
No need.
Don't get me wrong, like once I shared this on Instagram, some people got upset. Some of my friends, there is nothing wrong with an MBA, but his problem was not with an MBA. The problem was what they're teaching in MBA. He says, like Elon Musk or this guy, Jibble, co-founder, he says there is a lot of unlearning that needs to happen, because MBAs, even it says Masters in Business Administration, your specialization is in entrepreneurship, but it was not designed to make you an entrepreneur. entrepreneur.
Oh, there's very difference.
Majority of it. I'm sure there are courses now. So I'm like, a lot of this, many of us millennials, even in the subcontinent today, they have this, the episode that we did earlier, this guy, Roberto, he did a very, very interesting advice. He said, let your skills be like your investment portfolio, the kind of skills that you build, look at as a diverse portfolio, where you actually build a couple of things. So you have a couple of skills. 5 years, 10 years back, the advice I got was completely different. Focus on one thing. At that time, it worked. I think so. But today, for people who are millennials, I think this is also a very good advice. Anyways, coming back, Ali bhai, I think we are also pressed on time. We discussed about many of the challenges, yeah? I mean, Ali bhai was way more, he was nice. He did not go all out crazy. Now let's talk about, like you said, which like you told, your mom said, and I totally agree with it now, there is two sides to the coin. Now, what are the strengths or the good stuff that you've actually seen dealing with the Gen Zs and millennials compared to the previous generations?
Oh, there's a lot of amazing stuff. But just because there's amazing stuff doesn't mean there's implementation. Right? Idea without action is useless.
I mean, let's talk about...
So let me tell you. So one of the great things that I see with the millennials and the Gen Zs and, is their ability to have very diverse views and perspectives on things. The access to information is there, but then even though if it's unintentional, there's absorption of information. They have a wealth of information in their head. They just haven't organized it as well as they perhaps should. They have a wealth in terms of networking. If you were going to ask me, when I was in high school, how many people I knew, I would literally count my friends in school.
Yeah.
If you were going to ask my father at that time how many people he knew, he would tell his secretary to pull out the Rolodex, and everyone on that Rolodex is who he knew.
Yeah.
My dad used his Rolodex to put together the wedding invitation list for my wedding. And I just looked at it, I was like, did you really just pull out the Rolodex? He goes, yeah, that's everybody I know. Now, I go to LinkedIn, I have a ridiculous sum of people that I've connected with. Some people I've had a 2-sentence conversation. Some people I've known for ages and have great conversation. And then I have a whole host of people who are following who I've never even seen in my life. But point being, there's access to knowledge, there's access to information, there's access to network. The key phrase I want to push out there is leverage. Leverage your network, leverage the knowledge, do something with it.
So this is a good thing that you've actually seen.
Yes.
And when you say about network, I don't know who told me, I think it was Kareem who mentioned that he was following this guy who says your network is your net worth.
Yes, it's very true. Only if you leverage.
Only if you leverage. And this is so true. When I come and see some of your students, when we go off, the kind of friends I had when I was in university or in school versus what they have today, but they don't use it for the good, I mean.
But Sheyaf, we're talking about friends. I'm going to put another angle into this, another ingredient into the recipe, so to speak. And I want to speak specifically about mindset. I'm telling you what they have available to them, and they need to actionalize and leverage it. But when it comes to mindset, the single most important thing, without fail, are who are the people around you? Who is your friends? You show me your 5 friends, I tell you who they are.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. You are who your 5 friends are. Let me rephrase that one more time. You will become who the 5 people you want to be are.
That's deep.
So find the group that you inspire to be like, and then that group will motivate you, push you, pick you up, kick you, you name it, they'll get you there. But if you're going to hang out with the Starbucks clan, you will be at Starbucks 10 years from now.
And this is literally everybody uses a squad goals, hashtag squad. Like this is the real squad.
Real squad.
I believe, I mean, this is amazing stuff. So coming back to the good stuff, see, we got derailed, and this is very, very real. So we spoke about one of the best things that you said that you notice about these guys is the wealth of information they have, but with proper execution.
Yes.
Okay. And what else? We only have like limited time now, but one more thing which you see it does not have any pitfall. It's all good. Like, what can you think of? Like something that is super positive, or something that, you wish the previous generation also had?
Man, I wish I had Google. By Google, I mean everything Google can connect me to.
Yeah.
I tell my students all the time, you have many problems, but one of those many problems, because I tease them a little, one of those many problems is you don't ask questions. You just take life for what it is. You just say, okay, this is what it is. Why? Why should be the most annoying question that you continuously ask till you get the answer you want by peeling back the layers. Do not accept the status quo. Ask why. Why does this happen? Why did this happen? I told my students when Fetcher launched so many years ago that they're going to fail. Their business model, it has a major flaw in it. And they're like, sir, that's impossible. I'm like, watch. A handful of years later, they were close to declaring bankruptcy. They got an investment. And they're like, sir, somebody invested in them. I'm like, ooh. There's different type of cognitive biases. This is one of those biases. We just put good money after bad money. That was a sunk cost. That ship should have drowned. And guess what? A year later, same scenario again. Somebody put more money. By more money, I mean like $10, $15 million. I don't remember exactly, but somewhere there. And guess what? A few months ago, they've closed operations.
No, but how are you connecting this? Why do you think this was the case? How did you know, for example, they will close?
They saw a very bright, nice, shiny solution, threw money at it, let's make it work. Nobody asked why.
Okay. Now it makes sense. They were not asking the right question.
Work? Why? How? What's the components? What's the pieces? We stopped asking why of everything. We accept things the way they are. Don't accept things the way they are. Ask why. When you have a question, you ask the question. Only then do you have the potential to get an answer. And until you get that answer, you have zero increase in knowledge. And you are the sum of your experiences, which includes all the knowledge that you have gained. When you have all of this, then you put it into action. We are long gone of the days that you had to go to a trade school and spend 10, 15 years as an apprentice to become a master maker of, shoes or suits or whatever. You need to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Not because the specialty is not needed. You can hire the specialty. But the jack of all trades understands enough about all the trades to put the team together to deliver the product, to deliver what's needed to the consumer.
So I think the topic, I have more questions, but I think we are extremely pressed on time.
No worries.
So I think to summarize, I mean, we spoke about a lot of different aspects, and even though the discussion was about millennials, but what I realized what we start discussing is, like you said, there is not very much difference.
The ingredients are different.
Yeah, ingredients are different.
Mindset is different.
Yeah, mindset is different, but it's more or less, end of the day, Gen Z and millennials, they share a lot of things.
There's huge overlaps.
But Gen Z are more strong about particular things.
Yes.
Whereas millennials have different set of problems. I'm sure we will actually look into this topic again, where we will explore some other areas. But apart from the challenges, I also think you mentioned some pointers which you've seen, which I've personally seen. I have more points as well, but we will definitely pick this up in another episode. So having said that, guys, if any of the things that you actually heard today, you feel like there needs to be a little bit more clarification, you can DM me or DM us, or I'm going to share Ali's links for his personal Instagram, his mental health. He has a podcast himself called Talk with Ali, and he's quite active when it comes to, we spoke about alternative investing as well. So he's quite active in the Bitcoin space. He has a lot to say. So, definitely if you have some questions, you should follow him on his socials. He's quite active in this space. He speaks in a couple of these panels as well. So if any of you want to learn about any of this stuff, and like I said, he's an educator by nature. I I mean, when you talk about educator, so when I was in university, one small thing, I used to go to AUS. Ali used to give me tuitions for microeconomics. I used to cramp up 4 months of portions in one night, and I used to pass, even though I did not understand anything. He used to make sure I pass. He's very good at it. So again, once more, Ali Bhai, I would thank you again for coming on the show. And let's see, we do another episode once more, on a different topic. Until then, guys, we will be wrapping up now, and let us know what do you think. If you have any questions, let me know, and we will see you in the next one. Take care, and bye-bye, guys.